Since Elden Ring release, flails have been neglected and no one really likes them. The first time I, and probably you, picked up the flail from the Gatefront ruins, you thought to yourself, wow, this is a pathetic excuse for a weapon. There also really isn't a wide variety of flails in the game, but nonetheless, today you will discover that the flails are not only good, but they have hidden qualities you might be interested in, so you can stop flailing about. Also, I'm ranking them in order, so I guess you could say this is a top 5, which is just so creative. Number 5. Flail is first. It scales with strength and dexterity, which is I'm sure what sets it apart from every other fail. No. It's good for causing blood loss, because the unique Ash of War unique to the flails, the spinning flail, hits multiple times in quick succession. Slap a bleed buff on it and stack successive attack talismans and you have a recipe for a "oh my god, new insane bleed build discovered" video by Rage Gaming Videos on YouTube. Also, the flail is basically the worst flail in the entire game unless you have 99 strength and 99 dexterity, while the weapon being quality infused. So in other terms, never. I guess you could say this weapon is a failure. No, it's actually pretty good in the early game. Number 4, speaking of pleasant surprises, the Night Raider flail. Sounds fancy, right? Literally everything I just said about the flail applies here. Just change the quality part of the weapon to dexterity and we have this thing. You can get this basically at the same time you get the flail, so this one is essentially an upgrade at the start of the game, provided of course you have the stats to wield this. As a bonus, I do think this looks the best out of all the basic flails. I remember picking this up for the first time during the day Elden Ring was released, and the disappointment I felt after realizing that I was better off with some boring straight sword. Not anymore though, since the recent 1.09 update, flails have been buffed again. Number 3, there's the ballsack flail, or if you wanna get technical, it's a chainlink flail. I did say this thing looks like a ballsack, but it cannot be understated how much like a ballsack this thing looks like. I would say this is the best out of the basic flails because it scales the best with strength. I know a lot of people consider flails to be terrible, but honestly these are way better than webs, solely because flails have an actual good selection of Ashes of War, unlike the floppy ropes. Speaking of floppy things, the flails are unparryable, which I would say is their best quality. Also, the chainlink flail has bleed, so be aware of the YouTubers and their thumbnails. But don't look at mine, please. There's nothing to see. Number 2. Keeping with the topic of thumbnails, I made a beautiful one which includes the next flail, the family heads. Don't judge the thumbnail, 942 people clicked on it. The family head scales with dexterity, strength and intelligence, because apparently we need another stat to keep track of, but really it's the dexterity part that matters. It's good for physical and magic damage, but the real highlight here is the unique skill, Familiar Anchor. You lift this assortment of skulls and ropes to release the wrath of those who refunded the Elden Ring after dying to the tree sentinel and rage quitting, and of course left a not recommended review on Steam. Surprisingly enough, the Ash of War is very good because you can fire it before entering a fight, then start brutally assaulting the locals while the angry Ubisoft fans explode onto them. It's a pretty good strategy, I'd say, and this weapon opened my eyes to the truth. Flails are good. In fact, flails are really fucking good. This one specifically is my favorite. Flails do what feels like a lot of poise damage while also being unparryable. Their moveset is quite dull, yes, which is their biggest weakness. But they've been buffed quite heavily throughout the past year, so they're more viable than ever. Number 1. Bastard Stars. I have no idea what the name is supposed to mean, but the Soul series is known for its deep lore and Bastard Stars is probably referring to Astel's testicles or something. It scales with strength, dexterity and intelligence, but mostly with intelligence, which is great news for all the nerds. The unique Ash of War Nebula is very good against chunky enemies because the explosions can hit multiple times. Also, what the fuck is this weapon? Like honestly, the item description says that it's made out of star debris, same stuff as Astel's, but that might just mean that this is made out of Astel's rectum hairs or something. One could even say this weapon is out of this world. I didn't write this joke. I asked ChatGPT for jokes and this was the worst. So here you go. Anyways, that's all. Don't underestimate flails because they're actually very good. Probably better than hammers. I would even say they're better than greatswords, but let's not get into that argument. Bye!